Do not encourage Pete.
No.
You're incorrigible. Is that the word? Intolerable?
Entice.
Incorrigible? It's got to be something like that.
I was just trying to catch your cocaine story. We missed it.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
I thought that's what you want to start.
What's that fucking one there? He's already lost his career.
He just has one cocaine story.
Yeah.
No, there's only another one. It's more meth. I don't really want to talk about that.
Oh, really?
But we can talk about the addiction, I reckon. I think that's quite good.
Yeah, I think
men's
we're all
health,
addicts.
Men's health is good, you know, like men's health stuff's good.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Like I focus for me
I think
now.
we're all good.
Obviously, after dying 3 times, men need to be aware of that shit. I actually found a fucking lump in my boob last night. I've already been to the doctor.
Really?
Like,
I found one too.
Yeah, because it was my dad died. I didn't die from breast cancer, but he had his chest plate taken off. It made me stress a little bit. Like last night, I was like fucking at the doctor today.
Yeah.
What was it?
Well, he just says, because I had a cyst cut out of one when I was 11. Mum goes, what side? And I was like, 11. Mum, I can't remember what side.
Yeah.
I can't even remember if the scars even growing over.
Yeah.
But men can get breast cancer. 200 men in Australia every year.
Right.
I read on Dr. Google last night.
That's a quality right there.
Yeah.
So did you know what it was?
Well, no, because I got to go
yesterday.
on Thursday for not a mammogram. I know that because I've got no tits, but I have.
Yeah.
Because
I found a lump too.
Yeah, because they.
So I just kind of ignore it like all men do.
Yeah,
and
and that's what I'm saying.
die,
We do. As men, we just fucking ignore this stuff, and you go.
We always find them, and then go.
Yeah,
she was right.
Yeah, just when you're on your balls and shit like that. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I got.
That's right. Actually.
Yeah, I got the best thing. Everyone said to me, when you're going to be a chef, you're going to be the top 3. You're going to be gay, an addict, and an alcoholic. And I said, fuck, I got 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
The
I was like,
gay bit?
Yeah, gay. Yeah, that's right, you know. And drug addict, you know what I mean? Like, it's been an addict. And managing that shit is hard, you know? Especially those 2 together.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
It does make some stuff easier, though. Do
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's what you straight boys all reckon. You know what I mean? Like, you all think that it's easy, but trust me, when there's fisticuffs on, it's fisticuffs, you know what I mean? So
Right.
Well, it makes being an addict easy.
Missus, you know, like, but your health is important. Like, I think
if you've died 3 times, health is important.
it's super important. I think, and look, it's important to still enjoy your life. I think there's got to be a balance of that, and I think that should happen as you get older. But I think as men we just forget to, and chefs too, like we forget about ourselves a little bit, and we put so much focus into customers and food and our passion that we forget about ourselves.
Even the workplace, man. We've talked about like putting the workplace before yourself at all costs. It's a weird mentality to have.
And
hey?
imagine these boys with families. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Like Lockie's lucky he's got 1 kid. You know what I mean? Imagine if you had 3, and then you got all that soccer and netball and shit to go on.
Yeah.
And I experienced that for 7 years, like with one of my partner's boys, and I loved it, like immensely. But imagine having 3 and then having to work full time and not having flexibility in your work too.
Yeah.
Like someone like Kenny back when he started doing what he was doing, and he's got 2 kids or 3, I think 2 girls,
2.
and they were young and they were starting to do sports and stuff, but he had to go and open Manuka because if he didn't do it, no one was going to do it. You know what I mean? Like they were all of that. So that's the thing. I remember Elaine from the Loose Box when I was doing my training, and he'd have his kid in a pram inside the kitchen.
No way.
Yeah.
But of course,
you know,
as well, right.
They could because they had the loose box and it was only open for the nights and then Friday lunch and Saturday, Sunday lunches. So you could have the kid in Natalie, her name is, beautiful girl now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because your podcast is No Crying in the Coolroom. And she used to cry, right? Okay, and he'd just open the coolroom door and wheel her into the coolroom, close the door for 10 minutes. You think is she okay in there? But she stopped crying.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Nice and chilled in there.
Yeah, the cool temperatures.
Maybe everyone else that was crying in the cool room while she was in there just went, what is going on?
I used to go dry my eyes. Like, I was tough back then. I wasn't gay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You weren't gay then, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was always sitting on the fence. But I remember he'd get you that wound up, you know, that you'd almost be in tears. But rather than let him see that, you go in the cool room and dry the eyes off and then get back out there.
Shuffle something? Was that would you shuffle things?
Just muck around in there, you know, make sure the glad wrap or the dates are on something.
Totally.
Back then you had to.
Right at the back, in the back corner, underneath.
I remember burning. We used to confit these lamb bones that was for the rack, you know. So you'd skewer each side of the lamb. You take the loin off and you'd you get the rack and you'd skewer in and out with a skewer. You put them all into duck fat and confit them for an hour. If you're really short on time, you can put them in the oven for a little bit and roast them, and you get the same sort of effect.
Yep.
Well, I burnt like the whole tray, and I ran downstairs because it was the house was on stilts. I thought, I can't get caught doing this, and I ran them downstairs, underneath the stairs. But I was we were right underneath the office, right? Yeah. And he was sitting in the office, and all he could smell was burnt lamb bones. And he walks out and he's like, "Who burnt the lamb bones? Who burnt the lamb bones?" And I'm like, Mel, it was Mel. And his nose was that good at it, you know. So, and just the way he trained, like he showed me to bone a quail once, and he had this little baby paring knife. It was a Wusthof one. It was the cutest knife you ever got in your life. Yeah. It was like the boning knife, but it was only like that size. Yeah. So the end of it was that big, and perfect for quails. You know, he showed me how to do it, and by the time he walked around the stove, because it was a big centerpiece, he could see I was struggling with the way that he showed me. But rather than grabbing the knife and say, "Look, Pete, I'll show you another way to do it," he goes, "Oh, you're doing it all fucking wrong." You know what I mean? And starts yelling at you. And it was his way of showing you, I can see you're struggling, but I'll show you this way. And then I picked it up a lot quicker. You know what I mean? But nobody bones quails anymore, do they? You know?
No.
Third world countries do, and then they send them over. So should we take it all the way back to the start? Like, we'll go back to the apprenticeship and then move forward, I guess?
I guess so, I mean, we're already underway.
You know what I mean? Like,
by the way, this is Peter Manifis.
Culinary legend in Perth.
This is how we do the potty anyway. We just start.
I love talking, so you know.
Yeah, it's good.
When you said yesterday, come along, I was like, yes.
I feel like that's a good
He's
introduction.
never going to say no.
We know he's done cocaine. He's been gay. He died 3 times.
It's a good start.
And he's a good chef.
We'll probably just give a premise to people that don't know what the loose box is, because it's not something
some people know.
It's not something I've heard of.
We're going to get kicked off YouTube for saying loose box. But I reckon it wouldn't be hard to say that loose box is probably the best WA restaurant of all time. Be pretty close.
Yeah, I think
iconic-wise.
I think iconically,
there's a bunch out there, but
Dave Coomer and there's all of them. All those, and I call them the old dinosaurs these days.
Why was it
all
iconic
at the same time?
It's just French food, and you got the French training up there. For a chef, you got the French training without having to leave to go to Europe. Whereas a lot of the boys at the time during my apprenticeship would do their apprenticeships and then leave to go to Europe for 4 years and then come back again. And they'd have that French training and they'd come back, they brought that back to Australia. And I always thought, well, I've done it here. I don't need to leave. I need to help build the industry. I need to be a part of that. I need to make sure we still stay on the path, because everyone was leaving. You know, like all the good chefs, all my friends were leaving. And I was like, no, I'm going to stay and help build, you know. And I got my apprenticeship really interestingly, because we went up there as a group of TAFE students. So back then there was a thing called a pre-apprenticeship. So you did all your TAFE at that one first year. Great way to do it, because it's all done and dusted. Then you get 3 years on the job, you know. So now it'd be 1 full year and 2 years on the job. But the full year at TAFE, great, because you get all your first bits and pieces sorted, how to use a knife, do that sort of stuff.
Safety issues, I guess.
How to kill people, you know, how to make turkey gravy with Gravox and shit like that. Like
very
all the
basic,
cheap ways how to do it. And I did it up in Port Hedland, so there was only a class of 8 of us, you know. And so between each 6 months another class would start, and we all raised 2 classes, raised enough money, fundraising, and we came down to Perth, went to a place called Chanterelle Restaurant, which was fine dining unlicensed, Loose Box, which was fine dining licensed, and then that was back when the gold plates only had 8 gold plates, not this 48 gold plates, you know. So it was a bit like the Food Guide, but it was a lot more exclusive, still a little bit who you know, but still it was still a good thing of who was the best, and Loose Box always won unlicensed fine dining.
But it was good food?
It was great food, amazing. He used to do this beautiful chicken sauce, right, which he'd make an aioli, a 10 egg yolk aioli, and then he'd make a saffron chicken stock and pour it over the aioli and cook it out like it was an anglaise, a bit savoury, and fucking like
that's
amazing.
Smart.
Pour it over this chicken, which was stuffed with a yabby and chicken mousse, like a chicken breast, which is steamed. Really great, amazing dish.
Is it United? Is it
a couple of times, I think.
He's knighted by he's a French bloke. He's
knighted by the French government.
He's like Sir Alain in France.
Really?
So knighted for extraordinary performance about promoting French, everything French outside of his country.
Wow.
You know, so and an MOF.
And he came to Perth to do this.
Yeah, but he worked at the Sheridan like for the first 3 years or something. You know.
Not only that, the loose box was in Mundaring.
Yeah.
Wow.
And before there was nowhere else in between it either.
Before there was cars, you know.
Why did he
Just
pick
We're on horseback, you know.
Just one dirt road.
What was the restaurant like?
Beautiful,
Like
an old house.
Yeah.
And he had gardens. And you'd in the middle of service, you run out of sage fritters, and you'd have to run out to the garden and pick the sage to make the fritters, and shit like that would go on, or you'd grow artichokes, and you got to see food right in its raw form. And so, you know, and like you'd be there cracking yabby, like we'd go through 40, 60 kilos of yabbies. And then he'd make us crack all the, on a Sunday night before you went home for the week after doing 80 hours and getting paid for 40, which I appreciate, Chef. Thank you. We've already been over this, you know. And yes, the government isn't going to take you for all your money. It's all good. But he'd make you crack all the yabby claws, and we'd vacuum them and freeze them down to be able to put them in the cheap tarts for the Friday lunch, which we did a cheaper lunch, you know. Yeah. So you'd make like a yabby quiche with leek and potato in it. But you'd use all those yabby legs. Imagine kids these days, you gave them a big bucket of yabby legs on a Sunday night. When they want to go home, they're like, well...
Yeah, time to clock off, thank you.
Time to go.
I think they would just leave.
Yeah, they just leave. Yeah. I mean, you know, you can get away with a little bit, but and I think they've got to give it a little bit too. I think it's important that kids remember that. Yeah. And, you know, people that are bringing up their kids, you should be saying, you've got to give a little bit to get it. Because I did 4 weeks free trial at the Loose Box. So we all went up there, did this dinner. I was only 14 years old. Yeah. I had a couple of little brewskis, you know, little wines, because I was already at TAFE. I'd already left school year 10. My birthday is 30th of December, so I was younger than everybody. Yeah. And I was headed to the Witch's Cauldron, you know, like that was where it was all sorted out. My parents knew the people that owned the Witch's Cauldron, and Tony Humphries at the Witch's Cauldron said to me, Elaine, I went up there and it blew me away. I was like, I thought it was steak and chips, which I was going to learn to be cooking. Once I saw that food, it was like, fuck, like this is food, you know, like that chicken dish and shit like that.
But you were into it? Like
it was great, amazing. And all the hot girls were trying to get his number at the end. And because I had those couple of wines, I was pretty confident.
You buzzed.
And I stood up and said, this has changed my fucking, you know, my way that I think about food. I'm allowed to swear, huh?
Yeah.
Not too much. Yeah.
No, let's do it if you want.
It changed my whole life on my expectation of what food was. So I stood up and said that after a couple of wines, you know. Yeah. And so straight away, 4 days later, he gave me his card. I hadn't contacted him. He rung TAFE, then got my number of my auntie, because I was still down in Perth, and said, you need to bring this boy up to speak to me. I was 14, went up there, and he said, you need to come up here for work experience. 4 weeks free, and then that all worked in with TAFE for the end of the year. So I came down here, and then from there I just started working. My first job that I did...
I love this question, yes.
First job that I did was bone a box of rabbits.
Did you?
Yeah, because I was second year, so I wasn't first year, because that first year's gone.
So you walked in and he fucking brought out a box of...
rabbits.
Really?
And I had this Wusthoff's Trident knives.
Rabbits are a bitch as well,
dude.
Dude.
Go around like that and take the leg
They've
off.
got the little bone, the extra bone.
And then you have to take all the sinew off these ones, because he'd soak them in oil and garlic and thyme, and then he'd make a breadcrumb of seps, or porcini, for the average chef that doesn't know what seps are, you know, to mustard powder, chopped thyme, and then the breadcrumb, and you'd lay them all on wire trays, all the loins and the leg pieces with no sinew on it, and brush them just with egg yolk, no flour, just egg yolk, and then you'd put them into that mix, and then set them aside with parchment paper inside, and then for each dish you'd pan fry that in clarified butter. You know, went on a beautiful Dijon mustard sauce with crispy onion rings on top of it. Yeah. Like that was back when dude food wasn't even a thing, and he was doing onion rings. You know what I mean? Yeah. And onion rings
but from onions.
Yeah,
from onions. People are doing.
Well,
I don't know what they're serving.
Onion rings, blanch them, soak them in milk, get your paprika flour, in things straight like. And I was still trying to do that at the pub when I started working at the pub. I was like, and these people just don't get it. No. You know what I mean? Like
we chatted about this the first time. This was like 6 years into my career. I just did casual like agency work at a pub, and it was like make a jus, and they were calling it a demi. So I was like, I can make a demi. Whereas they didn't have any vegetables in the fridge.
Well, they were just getting water and tin.
Yeah, and the bucket, the green bucket.
I love that shit.
And then they of course, yeah.
Well, you had it on. I saw you the other day when you had it. You poured it on your chips. The chips, you know. And I love that gravy for chips. I love it for chips. I think if you go to a pub, you can't.
It definitely has a place in the pub.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think, you know,
sausages and mash, I reckon.
But I just remember being laughed at, like, how do you not know this? It's like, how do you not know how to roast bones? You're like,
well, Tafe taught us to get turkey bones for the Christmas buffet the Valentines that we used to make and all this carry on.
Yeah.
And they get the turkey bones, and the lecturer told us, so you made turkey stock, but then you still had the booster into it. So it's like the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? So we always got taught with that little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
Best thing at the loose box, the box of rabbits took me 12 hours to bone.
Did it? My first job ever in a kitchen was boning quails.
Yeah, well, I
had to bone 300 quails. It took me all day, and I was hands sore, back sore, everything fucked. And I was like, man, chefing is hard, dude.
Hard work. and then no holes in those cows, because if you want to stuff them, you know, if people don't know caul fat, you know, we used to do all that caul fat around them. If they had a hole, it wasn't an issue. Yeah. But you know, if they didn't put the caul fat on it, you're just wrapping bits of pancetta around it and that. Like you go, you know.
Are they called in England faggots?
Yes,
they are, with the caul fat.
Well, that's not the only thing they call a faggot around here. I know that. So we're not allowed to say that.
You do know that,
bro. It's also cabbage. I think it's anything like that wrap though. Yeah. Surely,
is it?
I think it's cabbage
as well. Yeah,
but
you're right.
Definitely, but it's like a ball.
Yeah. Well, isn't it?
You're right.
Isn't what Scottish? Isn't that like when they cook the haggis?
The haggis?
It's a bit like that.
A bit like that. Yeah.
It's a bit like that, isn't it? So they're doing a box of rabbits.
You were boning a box of rabbits, and you were like, "Oh, this is for me." You're still in?
Yeah. I was. Hang on.
Because you're 14, you've moved down.
14 years old.
That's a tough first job, and you're like, "Oh, this is cool. I like it."
Yeah, I loved it straight away. I was in. I was in even when he made us scrub the copper pots at the end of the night, even though you had a KitchenAid on. And all those copper pots used to have to be shiny, hang it back up. And if they were black the next day because you put too much vinegar in the mix, you'd be doing them again.
Really?
Yeah. And he used to make a mix. This is a good one.
This is old school shit, bro.
Yeah. Well, he used to make a mix: sand, egg white, salt, vinegar, lemon juice, and flour and water, and he'd make that mix. But if you put too much vinegar in it, they'd be all black again the next day.
Oh, really?
Yes, so you're all there scrubbing again. And he had 40 pots.
Wow.
40 coppers.
Didn't you even re-stainless them?
Yeah, we used to repot. He used to re-tin. So the copper. And the reason why copper's so good is because you know how all the modern pots these days there's a gap. You have your cast iron or whatever, your copper at the bottom. Then there's a little gap. You can see there's a line around them. Well, copper doesn't have that. It's just one piece. So what happens is with the modern pots, fat gets in that join, and that's how they start to separate. Then the heat becomes uneven. Yeah. Whereas a copper pot will stay even all the way through.
And it'll start and stop really quick.
And the tin, but they were lined with tin, which probably wasn't great for the human body. Probably the reason why I've got breast cancer these days. I haven't got breast cancer. Just
another love.
Another love. But the tin, on the weekends he'd make us, not make us, I shouldn't say, it was a harsh word he'd make us. We'd want to go because we wanted to learn. You were fierce to learn because you wanted to be better than Mal or, you know, you need to be better than all of them, you know.
So I wanted to be better than Mal,
Was it equal parts kicking your ass and then teaching you things?
Yeah.
Because he would stop and tell you things and teach you things and show you new stuff.
On the weekends, he showed us how to re-tin these coppers. Like, nobody knows how to do that. No. I couldn't remember now, or we'd be doing gardening for $10 an hour, you know, in the garden, because he built all the chalets up there. So then obviously you needed cheap labour to finish the gardens off. It'd be amazing creation what he created. Like,
but it was only 5 years ago chefs in Melbourne were like, "Oh, we've invented this new cooking, which is like gardening for ourselves," right? So
he was doing it back. He was doing it. I've been cooking 31 years, and he was doing it back then. And same sous vide. Like, he was doing sous vide back then. He was the first one to bring the Paco jet into the country.
Really? How was he doing sous vide?
We were doing lamb, all those lamb, so not the bones, but all the loins. We were sealing them, chilling them into bags, garlic, thyme in them, cryovac.
But they had cryovacs 30 years ago?
30 years ago.
As you say, is the first one.
Yeah.
But they had cryovacs 30 years ago, and then you wouldn't have had a circulator.
Yeah.
They did.
We had, not so much a circulator, but we had a thermometer in a pot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then the new stove that he ordered in, that they had to crane from the roof, take the roof off and crane in and roll it into the thing, was all brass, like one of those. That had 2 temperature-controlled baths in it.
Really?
Yeah, one for your sauce and stuff, and then one for your sous vide, which you'd have set on set.
But would it be like 54.3 and stuff like that?
45.
Yeah.
It was always 45 because you need to bring it back out and crisp it back there.
Dude, that's insane. Did you work it?
No.
But here's something for you, right?
It's fun that like, everyone's doing this.
Yeah.
This guy sounds like
you've
an
learned it 10 years ago.
legend.
He's a legend.
He is, man.
Anyway, actually, he'd love to do something like this up at his farm one day, where he could all go up there. You know?
Yes, man.
Because he's up in 2J now.
Yes. Is he gonna welcome you with open arms?
Yeah, well, it has this one.
Make you reach in a pod.
But hang on, we just want to talk about the sous vide.
We're all working within 10 minutes.
There was a little black bit of tape, right, that you put on the outside of the bag, and then you'd have a proper digital thermometer with a thin needle on it, which should stick through that little bit of black absorbent thing, which would poke and pierce the bag, right? So you know the centre core temperature of the meat without it getting water in it.
Wow.
Okay, so that's how advanced it was even 30 years ago, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And it's all about precision and temperatures. We know that.
Yeah.
All right, but we all know. But they're all, once you work that out as a chef, it's about temperature. Everything becomes easier, you know, because that's why we can use combi ovens and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
it's all about that. So he was doing that back then. So I'll tell you one quick story before we go. The other, we used to go pick the fennel, right? Yeah. And that was part of the garnish with a bit of parsley and a carrot flour. That was part of every garnish, you know. But if you got chosen to pick the fennel, you always knew you were top of the rig, you know. And I was top of the rig for quite some time, you know. The boys would get a bit jealous when I go away. Anyway, so we'd go pick the fennel. Anyway, I'd come back and the chef had his fly down, and my mate Mel, Big Mel, would turn around and he goes, "Yeah, that's why you're top of the rig, you know, like, his fly's down, and I know you." Like this, and I'm like, no, I was never like that with the chef. It was like, you know, but it was just funny, and that's but that's the training. That was back then. That was amazing. Like 4 years of that. So I left.
Did he bollock you? Do you remember like one absolute bollocking?
Yeah, the last one, right? Okay. Because I'd worked for 3.5 years there, and by that stage my apprenticeship was done, and he was supposed to go to Japan to do a gig over in Japan, and I was supposed to run the kitchen for him. And I met this girl, you know, because back then the fence was there very much, and I was sitting on it. And I met this girl, I was in love with her, Mandy. She was a waitress, a bit older than me, 2 kids. I was 17, I was 18.
Oh yeah, bro.
So and I was living in a granny flat at the back of the thing. She brought home. She knew I was gay, right? Okay, in the end. Anyway, she brought home a couple of guys.
Probably you kept turning her over.
Mandy. Mandy. Mandy's beautiful. If she heard this, she'd love it. Mandy brought 2 guys home,
and
right?
You'd be like,
look,
there's no more kids this way. You'd love it.
Better no more kids, you know. And she said, and it broke me because I was in the back. In the granny flat, she brought these 2 guys home. This is how she split up with me, and she brought these 2 guys home, and it broke me. I was heartbroken. Anyway,
that's rough, Mandy.
Mandy was rough. It was rough.
That's tough.
But you know what? It made me who I am now. Heartless bitch, you know. But my best.
Don't tell me you hung around like while she.
So it was Mandy this whole time.
Mandy,
yeah.
She brought 2 guys home, and you what?
I didn't watch.
You sat in the
now
corner?
I just sat back like this, you know.
But what's the other guy going to do?
You went outside and started picking fennel. You were like, somebody loves me.
Yeah.
This is what happened last time.
But my best mate, Black Dan, and that's probably inappropriate to say, but he's black and his name's Dan.
Yeah.
Burmese guy. He went to TAFE with him up in Headland. He used to have this big ambulance. It's like old school. He just come pick me up and whip me off down to Bayswater to move in with him from living in Mundaring. Anyway, you were never late. We never had a roster at Loose Box. There was never a roster, right? You're only late if you're there after the chef, all right? That was the rule, right? So you knew you got to know what time he was going to be there. Wednesdays, when after 2 days off, he'd go down to, you'd drive into Northbridge to pick all his stuff up from the restore, from the butcher, all the stuff, because he just load the van up. He went on his van, his 4-wheel drive with chef number plates, and he'd load all that up, and then you'd get back, and he'd get in about 1. So you knew if you were there by 12 on Wednesday for the first day of the week, you were going to be okay, you know. And then that was the same for Thursday. Friday, you need to be there at 9 because you're going to get there at 10. that's 9 in the morning through till midnight, right? Okay. And then Saturday was again, it was about 2, so you needed to be there at 1. And then Sunday was it was just the day, so you need to be there at 9 again, sort of thing. Anyway, I rocked up for the second day after the big breakup late. So it was the Friday morning. So the Thursday I rocked up at 3 or 2:30 or something like that. And I was crying and, I was upset and got through that day, no worries. The next day I rocked up late.
You were crying because
she'd broken my heart,
Oh, yes.
It's back when my heart was breakable and not dying. And then the second day I walked in and I was crying. I said, Chef, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to sort my life out. You know what I mean? Like I've got a lot going on. He said, life, when I pay you, you work for me, your life is mine. Like this, and that's after 3.5 years of working with him. And I was like, you heartless fuck, you know what I mean? So I lost all my energy for working with him from Friday through to Sunday. It was apparent that I didn't want to work with him anymore, right? I just lost all my mojo, because I've done so much for him, and vice versa, he'd done so much for me. Anyway, he got my pay on Sunday night, and you always knew you were in trouble if you're the last one, because you'd have to go in and sign the bit of paper and get your check, because before transactions used to be all that, so and you have to literally get your check. And he threw my holiday pay and all that stuff down, no notice, no anything, and said, I don't want to ever see you in my restaurant again.
Jesus.
And I didn't even do anything wrong. I was heartbroken. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I broke it. So then...
what do you reckon now, though? What do you reckon that was all about?
I don't know. I think it was because he was shitty with me for not being focused enough, maybe.
Yeah.
For that
I reckon you would have been in like a bit of a slump.
Yeah.
And you would have been noticeable.
Yeah, I was noticeable.
Yeah.
But do you reckon for a week or for like a...
Well, he didn't talk to me. So then I really got him, right? Because I went to the tribunal and I said, I don't want all... We were sitting in this tribunal situation with an arbitrator and him there and me here.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want all the money that he owes me for wages. I said that was all paid off with how he trained me. Like, amazing. Like, I couldn't ask to be a better chef than what he showed me. But we're in fucking Australia and we're not in France, and I was out of work for 2 weeks, and you're going to pay me my 2 weeks that I was out of work for because you didn't give me any notice. And he agreed and paid the 2 weeks, signed the cheque straight away.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And
going to tribunal for
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Unbelievable. And that's how tough he was on us, And I went down. I went from Loose Box down to the Sicilian restaurant in Fremantle, which was a big Italian 400-seater or 300-seater. And I remember my last day there. I'm not going to talk about the shenanigans that went on there, but my last day was Mother's Day or Father's Day, and I'd done 300 tuttomates on the grill, which was mixed seafood, right? And I was like, you know what? My speed's up. I can go to the next spot now.
You learnt it.
Yeah, I had that.
Where was that? In Fremantle?
In Freo, on the water, down where the pavilion is. The Freo, what is it? The pavilion down there at Kalis. And it was with a couple of Italians, and they weren't. It wasn't great food, but it was just I got to my speed up. I could do pans and I could do grill and I could do the fryer and all that stuff, So
isn't that a shock after doing French food like that?
Yeah, but I needed just to chill. You know what I mean? I needed to learn how to do drugs as well. You know what I mean? So back then it was ecstasy, and we all partied together. It was fun. And
at work?
Yeah, no, a little bit. Occasionally. I remember one morning after a party, it wasn't good. But at the same time, it was all part of that young chefing thing that we did.
Yeah. And party hard, work hard.
And Freo was cool. Like a lot of girls with underarm hair, so the gay thing didn't mean so much to me down there.
Yeah, that's on the fence too, isn't it?
It was.
They'll meet you on the fence there.
Yeah. So and I met good friend of mine, Jerry Matera, at that stage, and we clicked a bit, and then from there I went to Phillamore's, which was a little pub down there on the corner, which is Notre Dame University now, and Daniel Rada, this jazz guy, used to play in the courtyard on Sunday afternoons, and it was a really wicked environment, and that was another 8 months there, just learning better food again, but just relaxing a bit with the food. And then from there was...
where did you two guys meet?
Yeah, now. This is right now, this next week. Next week. So King Street.
That's where we met when I was an apprentice. I think I was late second year.
Lachie tried to steal my shoes.
I reckon he still got my shoes. I fucking walked out this guy,
Did you? Who was there first? Were you there first?
I can't even remember how that happened now.
Yeah, I can't remember.
What do you mean?
Were you an apprentice and then he got hired?
Oh, he came to help out because someone didn't show up. I can't remember how that happened. I was second year at the time.
I'd been there before, and I'd helped because Russell Blakey, Roy Thompson, they were all that Dave Coomer. They're actually all that set that did a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
And I got there, and I think I did 8-9 months or so doing just being a chef de partie there. And King Street was amazing.
Yeah.
Because every week we changed 6 dishes on the menu. And the chefs were part of that progress of talking about it. Yeah. And a lot of the great people come out of King Street. Big Stew, Dion Jansen, Bernard. Like, there was just so many great chefs that come out of King Street.
Who's Big Stew?
Stewie Laws.
Yeah, dude, that guy was my head chef when I came here.
Really? Where at?
They did
It's like, I swear to God, there's 1 degree of separation between 44 King Street and chefs. Like, isn't there?
Stuart Laws, right? Like, and Stuart Laws opened the ramen place with the laundry thing out the front, right? So he was the head chef of a catering company. That's where I threw up in a bin, and I had to walk into Stuart Laws and be like, dude, I have to go home.
It might have been the convention centre.
No, he was a part of. I might not name it, but they had like vans, and you would go in and you would load the vans.
Oh,
and then
I know the one. He had that for a while,
and you would bang out.
Was it him?
But then he went to a place in Fremantle, and he opened. When it was like there's like 5 restaurants in one.
That was a stew. That was an epic fail.
The alpaca meatball. I had to break that alpaca down.
Yeah, but it's so dry.
Yeah,
it needs fat.
Yeah,
everyone knows that meatballs need fat, and alpaca's so lean, like kangaroo. You know?
Oh, dude, we got to get Stuart Laws, man. He was.
I'm more of a legend than him. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, man.
So we got 4 mics. Right.
That's hilarious. He was the guy that because we talk about like
he's very good.
Your worst hangover and stuff.
He's my worst. He's my arch nemesis.
Is he?
Yeah. But I remember him first coming into King Street, and
but this is all like King Street stuff.
Yeah.
Stuart Laws is at King Street.
Honda,
but like everyone, it feels like everyone's been through
Honda
that.
Prelude. I had this Honda Prelude, and I was in my jocks, and he was driving my car, and I was trying to jump in the car, and it was after a staff party, and hospo staff parties are always like out there, and we all ended up back at my house. I don't know what happened then after that. That was when Bernard first started. Did you ever work with Bernard? Bernard McCarthy.
There's so many names I don't remember.
Yeah, and then in the end I would come back. I think Lee. Lee. Right, and Lee had a bad accident. You know. Really? Like fell off his motorbike. Not great. I saw Justin Bell yesterday and heard it was. Yeah, I'm hoping he's well. I haven't heard anything. But Lee, I was running the kitchen, and Lee, I was just interim running the kitchen because I knew the kitchen. And I was finishing it. I was doing 6 a.m. till 3 or 4 in the afternoon at King Street, and then I was going up to the Sea Restaurant and helping the boys at night. There was a lot of drugs involved with that one. Like those boys.
They were the old Loose Box crew.
That was Mel. It was all Loose Box
crew.
Yeah. Gav, Mel, Tuna, his name was, or Darren. And you just get there and you'd be like in the office before you started because you had to, because you've already done 12 hours.
Yeah.
And then you had to be there for another 6. Anyway, and that just shows you the life, you know. Like,
totally.
Nobody talks about that shit, but it's the truth. Nowadays, like Scott Brano's he's on his break at Bread and Common or wherever, and they go to the gym and they're all looking after themselves, and it's great to see because we never really did all that. You know what I mean? Like it was, it wasn't part of our makeup. It was a line or something to keep us going.
Yeah, I think that's why we get so angry about the MasterChef thing or
it's
like
bullshit.
The TV thing, because like we're such. The word that I've used best for it is pirates. Yeah. We're such pirates of people that when you saw all that stuff and then like people are like oohing and ahhing over food, but like that's like a small portion of the whole culture. The culture is actually all this other shit.
It's the tough part of it.
And then you can just stop after you made one of those.
Yeah.
Fucking shut up.
Yeah, one.
No, let's critique it for an hour.
Yeah, that's right. While it's cold. I did a MasterChef. I was never famous.
I hate watching people eat food as well. Like I hate those chefs.
But it was always cold. Yeah. Trust me. Wait, I sat down at this. They did the Fremantle long. They called it the 40 fucking fishermen, and I was sitting right at the end, up one end with all the
long table dinner or something.
Yeah, but it was for the MasterChef, and so they were all cooking. We were there till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Wait, that food, that hour is no fucking hour. Yeah. It's 4 hours, and they're stopping and starting to get the best shots on it, and then by the time you get that food, it's cold.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Come on, wait. If you're gonna do it, at least be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
At least be real.
And then they hype it up at the end like 5, 4, and you've been there 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
5, 4,
It's now the next day.
That's hours.
Well, we did this thing where one of the dishes that I did in my section was on one of the original Master Chefs. It was one of the most famous ones.
Yep.
And it took me 3 days to do.
Yeah. How
And
are
they're just
people
pumping it out.
And these guys did it in 2 hours.
How are people going to learn that shit if they haven't been guided?
Yeah.
And and look, they're trained by the best in the world because they're mentored by Marco Pierre White and Rick Steins comes in, even Nigella and her titties come through. You know what I mean? Like they're all there. I mean, amazing training for them. So they should be able to pick up stuff quicker.
Yeah.
You know, but not as quick as what they say.
Yeah, but they're reading a recipe at the same time and stuff. Like, it's just nuts.
Yeah, we're just talking about that before.
Yeah.
Like, you know, back even at Encontro days, because I had Encontro for 12 years, right? That's where I opened up Zafferano restaurant, I opened up Gucci restaurant in Applecross, and then I found my place with Anna at Encontro, and then we were some of the first small dining, like not tappers, but we did. If you had a zucchini flower and there were 6 people on the table, each person would get a zucchini flower. It wasn't
Small plates.
Yeah, it was. You know, like you have to. They didn't come in sets of 8 or you know what I mean. Like we tailored the menu, and we had probably 95% of the restaurant by the end of that process eating not on the menu, just from me going out and talking to them about eating. That was amazing.
Which is great for the diners.
Yeah, and great for us too.
What, Pete's going out to the tables?
Sometimes it would be like, I remember when me and Mal were like just trying to cook.
I think Mal was on the fryer.
Yeah, dude. But he wanted to be on the fryer because he was just like, this is just numbers on the fryer. You can deal with Pete and you can deal with how many steaks or whatever we got going on. And the maths. Yeah, he wanted me to deal with the maths of you coming in and going, there's 8, I want this, and I want this.
And that's so we tailored it.
Dude, that would have been an awesome experience to eat. But on the back end, like, it wasn't horrible, and you learnt so much stuff.
We filleted all our whiting and herring and stuff like that.
So I worked with Peter in Contract.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He was a head chef there.
Yeah, and that's we had fun then, and I was a bit of a Nazi, but I'd rock in at 6:30.
Do you think you're a Nazi because of your original training?
Yeah, definitely. And you learn that grows out of you after time because we have to be like.
Don't you only know one way because your chef taught you like the training the way that he did it, right? So isn't that the only way you're going to do it?
But, you know, remembering, and if we even go back further than chef, like I come from a fishing family up in Onslow. My dad was amazing with seafood. He pioneered. So you talk about cryovacuum. Dad was cryovacuum fish in the 80s, right? So that's how long cryovac's been around. Dad was cryovacuum fish and freezing it in 500-gram portions. We used to sell that off in the Pilbara, frozen. So my handling of seafood, and mum always had fish and chip shops. So I was always around food, you know, and that was my upbringing. I used to be playing my Transformers on the floor of the fish and chip shop until mum got busy and she'd say, get up, and this was at 8, 9 years old, and make me sit on the till and not let me work out the numbers on the till. She'd make me do the counting in my head with the change that I had to get back.
Wow.
And that was burgers and fish and chips, steak burgers, and I was only 8. Occasionally it would be just mum and I'd have to go over and do the burgers or whatever else. And mum was known as, she was pretty amazing. She still is amazing. She's still around. But and dad would fillet the fish and package the fish, and then mum would do the cooking at the end. So we had quite an eclectic lifestyle. Never ate together as a family.
No.
Like my 2 brothers were skippers on the boats, and they're quite a bit older than me, so I was the youngest. Mum always had food on the table wrapped with the glad wrap with the initial on it, so you could go in whenever you wanted and you'd put it in the microwave and give it 2 minutes, and then you'd sit and eat dinner by yourself in front of the TV.
Wow.
Because family life wasn't really a thing. It was always work.
You guys were busy.
Yeah, it was busy, you know.
Shops open, eh?
Yeah, shops open. So you know, and then if you're, now I look back at it, like, you know, I was spoiled, you know, like. Whenever I wanted ice cream, I had to break into the shop, you know. So you know,
I didn't think about that.
Started drinking a bit early, you know. Probably again.
I was going to say this is where the addiction personality comes in. You know, when you're like, oh, I can have an ice cream.
Yeah. Whenever you want.
I got to figure it out, but I can have one.
Yeah, trust me, I took the grill off we had cyclone grills up in Onslow. I think I got that grill off.
Did you?
Yeah,
Did you unscrew it or what?
I got through it.
He's got a butter knife.
My 16th birthday.
Just one screw every day.
My 11th, 12th birthday, right, I knew Mum and Dad left town, which they never really did, right? They went away and I knew where Dad kept the porn, right, okay? I was in the office, in the locked office door. Well, it was my birthday, and all the boys were there, and I was like, I'll get the porn, you know? And I climbed into the ceiling, into the roof, and it was all that gyprock, right? And I did it all the time. I was always up there, but I was going to walk all the way to the office to get down the manhole to get the porn out of it. But I got to the kitchen and my feet fell through because I was drunk. My feet fell through. I was dangling out, and the boys were all looking at it, laughing. All my birthday money went on getting that fixed.
Oh, no.
Just for the porn.
Did you get the porn though?
No, I didn't get it. No. Well, in my head I had it already there anyway.
Yeah,
I was a bit of a
the old magazine porn.
Young bloomer.
No shit, man.
But then I suppose, you know, the King Street was an amazing thing with all those amazing people. I remember my last day there was I got accused of stealing a chicken. Mark Rogers accused me of stealing a chicken.
Hey, wait,
that's his go-to move.
Yeah, is this the old move?
Yeah, he accused me of soy sauce.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yep.
Oh, but didn't
That's
someone accused you of stealing a fillet, right?
The same person.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Fillet. No, I didn't steal the fillet.
No, I know. We
No,
cleared that up.
No. This was his argument. I stole the soy sauce and a fillet, but someone went into my bag and took the fillet. So he wanted an answer. But I know 3 other people, including you, that he's done that. So
really?
His go-to move to not pay you, right? At the end?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't even remember how that all ended up.
Yeah.
But I know I didn't go back to work after he accused me of stealing a chicken. Because it was a cooked chicken too. It was like dinner. You know what I mean? I remember cooking the chicken.
It's such a bizarre move.
I remember the thing.
But I reckon, how many people do you reckon he got with it?
Yeah, that's what I think too.
A few for sure.
Yeah,
A bunch of people
they're all young people too.
who would have just been like, I can't be bothered with this.
Owner.
Like he probably just like pressure someone so they will leave and can't be bothered. You know what I mean? And not take the holiday
It's more
pay.
like I just want to start my new job. Fucking whatever. It's chicken,
fillet,
soy sauce. I got this guy. That's what he wanted.
Yeah. I mean, he was the ugliest part of that business.
Yeah, dude.
Do you know what I mean?
I reckon it was the only part I disliked.
His son Alex was okay, but he was growing into be a bit of a cunt. You know, but he was good at what he did. He was professional.
Yeah.
But Mark was just hard work. You know, like always. But I loved his wife Sally. Right. So you might not have got rubbed up by Sally quite right, but I saw Sally for many years after.
She just came across. I didn't know the bird, but she just came across like a victim to me. But maybe that was just in my head because I saw him like an asshole.
He was an asshole.
Yeah. So like every time I saw her, I was like, maybe I felt sorry for her or something.
I haven't seen her for years, but she
wasn't a horrible person.
No, she's where it cut it out for many years.
That's where it was.
So I used to go and see her at Cut It Out, which is the big chef shop on Murray Street. It was probably the chef shop to go to get your stuff, and so and she worked there for years. I always loved her. She was always a good girl. Russell Blakey's an interesting one. On the wall at King Street in the girls' toilet, there was a picture of a kifla potato. Someone had drawn a kifla potato, and you said at the top of it, "Hi, I'm Russell Blakey. I'm a kifla potato." It had like face and the whole thing on it because he was a big promoter of WA food. He inspired me that much once. I'd been up all night, and I was running the kitchen, and I was sleeping on, because there was an upstairs office part, and I was sleeping on 2 office chairs which were moving, and I just needed to lie down for a little bit, and the floor was too dirty to lie down.
During service, after?
Just before service, because he was doing his brief with all the weight stuff, because that's what happened. He had a big whiteboard, and Russell would sit there and go over the menu and do this brief, you know, like on this thing, to write everything out. He inspired me that much that day. Like I was laying down, you know, hanging out like this. I was like, I've got to go home. And then he just started talking about food, and I was like, yeah, I've got to get up and do my job. I can't let him down after he's just inspired all those people on the floor to go out there and sell and do the right thing by the food. And the person who's running the kitchen's hungover, sitting upstairs. And I got up and worked my ass off that day. Yeah. It was hard, but he inspired me to do that. And
Kifla potatoes are also delicious.
What's that?
Kifla potatoes are delicious, dude.
Well, the other best part about that is just the baby chats. Because you couldn't even get them back in the day. They used to fall through we did a potato tour, and we're down at Better Spuds, and you're watching all these little baby potatoes fall through the grills of the potato sorting, and they just throw them in the bin.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing? Like, they're the best potatoes that money can buy.
It's so good.
They're 90 cents a kilo. You know what I mean? Like, for a chef to buy. Imagine, like, the money people can make on that. I was like, you need to be getting that shit off the ground and washing it and doing it again. But that's what happened.
Pete, did you invent
I'm not going to say invent. Let's not go there because food just goes.
It's on record, bro.
Everything just goes around in a circle. You know what I mean? But the prawn cocktail will be a prawn cocktail forever. It was always something that was created. But whether you do a watermelon rind cocktail sauce, and add other bits and pieces to it, is about the invention of things. But the watermelon rind has come from somewhere. The chutneys come from somewhere. Yeah, it's just about putting the shit together.
Do you know what
it also comes from they're just potato farmers, right? Yeah, they just go through the paces and they have this machine. It took someone that cooks to say, dude, I want this shit. Totally. I want that now. Yeah. All with a passion too. And
so much of that stuff. Like I've done all the festivals, right? Truffle. Did the gourmet escape cook for Marco Pierre White and Rick Steins and all the MasterChef guys. We weren't allowed to take any photos because here you go. Big Stu couldn't light the charcoal grill on that day. And we had Rick Stein and Marco Pierre White coming. We did this great thing on Dunsborough Beach. We weren't allowed to tell anybody because it was, exclusive, no photos or anything. I had them all walk around with ice pops at the end, and it was fucking amazing. They all had Havana shoes when they walked in the door, and Big Stu's at 11:30 struggling to get that job. Remember Josh's big, it's one of the first ones, Josh Kalana's big grill. So we shipped that down there, like thousands of dollars worth of equipment to get down there to do this gig, because it was important for me that we pulled off that gig with those people there. Anyway, and Stu's struggling to light the thing, and I'm sweating. Don't know why I'm sweating for, because I might have been up all night because I was stressing about, anyway, and Stu's not doing it, and I'm like, Stu, out of the way, and I'm there, and I'm get it lit, and the smoke everywhere. The smoke finally clears, and they start walking through the door, and Stu's just putting the octopus on. I was like, thank God. And we got it. Yeah, we just got there. It was a great gig. And Marco Pierre White put his arm around me at the end and said, some of the best octopus I've had in my life.
Wow.
So, it was...
Stu was even doing octopus on the grill at the taco place. Yeah, so he must have picked it.
Yeah, I taught him everything he knows.
Yeah. But it's cooking octopus. It was actually a very interesting way to do it, where you cooked it raw and you cooked it quick.
Yeah. On the char, amazing way to do it. Because you don't... I mean, sous vide is a great way to do it too. Yeah. Because you get it tender. But sometimes they take it a bit too far. Same with boiling it. When the tentacles start
But then also when you're grilling it, because we use in Melbourne, we always sous vide it and then grilled it. But sometimes when you grill it, it starts to stick to the grill and it all pulls apart
all the
and stuff.
It becomes stringy almost.
But when you cooked it raw, it would tighten up, and then you rest it for 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. You rest it long. Yeah, I learned that off Stu. That was good.
Texture's a good thing. Texture in some of those seafoods is an amazing thing. We're so diverse in our seafood culture in WA, like our fruit and veg. Remember we're so lucky here because we start up in Kununurra. Our season starts up there early winter for us, right? Because it's warm up there. So all our eggplant, capsicum, tomatoes, bananas come from Kununurra, right? Okay, that's in winter still, right? So that's summer veg in winter. Then it flows down to Carnarvon when we get to spring. Already Carnarvon's starting, so we're in spring in Perth, but Carnarvon's already way ahead of us because of the heat. Then we get down to the wheat belt, and then same thing again. They're just starting to pick mangoes down in Albany way now, right? So mangoes started way before December, and we're going to still get them all the way through to. I think no other country in the world gets that.
Yeah.
We don't, and no other state in the country gets that as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because
super interesting.
It's so diverse along the lines. And then remember, we get the best of it. Whereas, go
that way.
This guy's trying to fucking open a closed door.
We're busy, but that guy can figure his door out, I guess.
It literally has a sign that says, please use side entrance. And has an arrow.
Yeah. Anyway. He's an Uber driver.
He is, dude.
Yeah.
Look at us too.
The other one is the fish. We start up in the north. We get all that warm water Queensland fish, all the tropical. Then when we flow down, once we get to Geraldton, everything cools up. We get the jewfish and the trevally, not trevally, the trevally. Dory, all that stuff comes from Albany, so all the way down the coast. Right. So we get the best of cold water and warm water fish in WA. If chefs don't see what we have here, we have. If they don't see it, if they don't understand it, East Coast can rave all they like, right? Yeah, they've got some particulars. We've got it all. You know what I mean? We have it all. WA has it all.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's
even
why,
the truff.
Yeah, right?
Even truffles.
Even the truffle. You know what I mean? Like Elaine tried to do truffles on Oak Tree up at 2J. And I don't know how he's gone with it, but I don't think it was too good. He invested a bit of money into those oak trees, and I think it's too dry. Like he doesn't get the cold in the winter like they do in Pemberton.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about podcasts, boys?
Go on.
I did the first ever chef podcast
Right.
on Apple iTunes, right? Okay,
Yeah.
Video podcast, right?
Yeah.
And we went down to do the truffle kerfuffle, but it was before the truffle kerfuffle.
Yeah.
We just went down and videoed the truffle hunt, all right, and how the dogs do the whole thing. And one of my good mates, Neil, he has a little company. It used to be like this. Now he's more accounting. But we used to do this on the side. And we went down to Manjimup, and we were one of the first ones to do filming of the truffle hunt in WA. And we had it all on camera, and it's on. I think it's online now still. I think it's on YouTube.
What would it be under?
Pete Manifis truffle,
Pete Manifis,
something or other, vine leaves probably.
Pete
Vine leaves.
Pete Manifest does ecstasy at truffle hunt.
but that was me in my younger days. I was more handsome back then. You know? I was more appealing. You know what I mean? Like, more appealing.
So, like, what was the breakdown between you two guys? Because I feel like there was someone stole someone's shoes at some point, right?
It was just because I left him there. So the way I remember it, I took a holiday, came back, and I think I quit. But I gave it wasn't a notice. It was like find a replacement and shit. And then
like
I remember driving into work, and I was still committed. I remember driving into work, and I was like, I hate this job. And then I was, you sort of ready to leave.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the people. It was just you want your next fucking job.
It was Mark Rogers.
It was so then I got there, and then no one was there, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I don't want to be here either, and just left. So I left my shoes, and
And he also thought he
they were brand new shoes, and he even sent me a message about I've still got your shoes
Right now, today.
But we worked together again after that, so there was no bad blood. Lockie's a great chef. I'm very proud of what he's doing now too. Like your whole Perth dude food is amazing. Like I look at it and I get excited for food and that sort of food in Perth because of him. You know what I mean? Like I messaged him just the other day. The reason why we got into this was because of that pie with the cheese coming out of it, and I was like, I love a pie like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's what I search for that shit myself. You know, if he's doing it for me and getting fatter, I'm happy. You know what I mean? He can eat all the other shit in between to get to the good stuff and not tell me where to go.
Tell you where.
You know what I mean? Because this year doesn't go away. Like when you get older, I can tell
does
you
if you die 3 times,
dude. Well, that was a hard one. Like I'd done this last job I did was 500 covers, 4 restaurants, as in 500 each restaurant. You know, they were big numbers, and it really challenged me. And
what were you doing it for? A function? They brought you in to do functions for them?
No, they brought me in to be the executive chef, and I'd never taken on a role like that before. I was always very small key, so I'd never done more than 1 or 2 places, but they aren't hospitality people. You know, like they're not like the Trimbolis and who's not a hospitality person but understands hospitality. The people I worked for were lovely people, and I got along really well with them, but they weren't as hospitality as what I
They don't understand the expectations, just like what you can and can't do.
And he never used my name. They never put my name on anything. Like he was amazing like that. Like and I learned so much too. Don't get me wrong. Like I needed to learn so much to get to that point, and I lifted their standard, their food up. But like I said, Lachie pre-interview here, you know, I never cooked chicken wings really before in my life, and so now my chicken wing recipe's to bomb. You know, like I understand brining it and buttermilking it, and not having to steam it first. I can cook it from. The fry needs to be 160. The flours have got to be right. The mixer, and everyone's different, I'm sure. But I learnt that my Korean chili sauce is bang on. I've never made any of that stuff before.
Gochujang? Do you know the gochujang?
Yeah, we used to buy it in 14 kilo tins.
Yeah.
And I used to have to go pick up that stuff individually because the suppliers that they use, sea lanes and that, wouldn't have all that good stuff that you needed. Because for me, it's about product. And they were quite cheap in the way that they'd buy chicken wings, a pallet of them, and they'd get them for 99 cents a kilo or $1 a kilo, $1.20 a kilo, and then money in that's huge, you know. Like, and that's I suppose what happens when you buy in bulk.
Yeah.
But I was also saying to them, you got to have some standards, you know. If you've got to have some standards, otherwise people are still always going to say it's shit food. Because no matter what you do, if you've got a shit product putting in shit thing, you can't create mountains out of molehills. It's got to be about product. Yeah. And what's always been my motto has been about product. And then saying that they bought all their fish in, it was all Australian fish, which was coming from Indonesia. He was the first one to be doing that. All cryovac, beautiful. And I just picked through the varieties that they had and cut some of the stuff off the menus and kept the better stuff. You know what I mean? But the price of it's so much cheaper. You know, like if you go to Coventry Seafoods, I'm not bragging here, but you get these little diced fish, right? Okay, it's diced snapper, local snapper, $6.95 a kilo. They're almost a kilo, and it's pure snapper meat. Like you're not going to beat that for curries and fried fish pieces and little things like that. It's all our local fish, but caught in the Indonesian water. You know what I mean? And because I'd grown up around frozen seafood with my dad, it's about defrosting it, learning how to defrost the stuff properly. Yeah. Chefs leaving it in bags and stuff like that, defrosting is no good. You've got to open the bag frozen, put it onto perforated trays, let it defrost so it's all the water's dripping out of it. You handle frozen seafood better. Yeah, it's never going to be a carpaccio or a sashimi, but it's always going to do the job, and it's going to be. Dad always said frozen fish is fresher than fresh fish, because by the time you go out, the boat goes out for a week. They start fishing on a Monday. They come back in on a Sunday. This is up north, right? So they've already got, that's 7 days on that fish, right? On ice, 2 degrees, right? Almost frozen anyway, right? 2 degrees in the hulls. They get it in, 2 days to get to Perth on a truck, because none of the truck, well, 1 day if you're you know, on that ox stuff that they call it, 14 hours, you know. They bring it down, that's another day. So that's 8 days. Day at the market, 9 days. Day at the fish supplier, 10 days. All right, chef gets it. You're already 2 weeks old to fish. Yeah. People don't realise that. Yeah. So once you cut that fish, you haven't got long on that now, because you're already in 2 weeks old. If it's whole, it'll last for almost 3.5 weeks on ice in the right temperature. But as soon as you put your knife to it, you got 2 days on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's old. So people don't realise that about seafood, and that's why all our prawns are frozen, because you couldn't get them down here. I remember once we did a trial with Exmouth Fresh, Kalis, flying some prawns down for us, you know, like amazing shit. Like just this prawn, you should have seen it. Like it was amazing. Like wow. People would die for that shit, you know. Or I met a guy at 399 Bar 2 weeks ago, and he said to me, "Oh, Pete, I got taken to your restaurant," and we just randomly met 12 years ago, and you had garfish wrapped in pancetta with salsa verde, the individual pieces, and a scampi. He said the rice on that scampi, it was just pilaf rice, because I could still remember it now. Wow. Like, it was cool, you know.
That's cool.
And we used to defrost the scampi, because they're so expensive, to order. So order for scampi would come in, we'd get them out of the freezer, run them under cold water, cut them, and then cook them straight away.
Really?
So that's what crayfish is so hard to manage on a menu, is because if it's a fresh product, they go black so quick, and then if it's a frozen product, they're too big to defrost so quickly. Whereas a lot of those other things like the prawns and that scampi, you can get around it. You know,
when I got to Encontra, I hated this. By the way, I was like, why aren't we pulling? We know we're going to sell 12, for example. Why aren't we pulling X? And you were like, shut up, cunt. You didn't say that, but you were like,
I probably would have.
Yeah, but you would say, shut up, cunt, and then explain it. Yeah. And even then, I was like, I don't get it. Yeah. I'm going to do what you tell me, obviously. And then, like, you straight away get it, because you're like, oh, wait, this actually cooked. It behaves better too when you cook it.
It's firm. Yeah. It's not much.
And you're like, geez, this guy isn't crazy.
Yeah, not crazy. And crabs.
And it makes sense, but it is a process.
It's
just a longer process when you do it.
If we cooked our crab all up north, or our blue swimmer, from the moment we cooked them, we caught them, if we just boiled them, you can pick that meat and use that for anything, right? Salad, put it through a pasta, do all that stuff, right? But because they're still raw and they're fresh, every hour they're out of the water, they're going to deteriorate. Yeah, right. It's going to deteriorate. So it's important that you try to cook it as fresh as you can, you know, and then save you using that bag shit from Malaysia and that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you got to handle it properly.
But they're not going to cook it up north.
They do. There's one bloke in Shark Bay that sends cooked crab down, but he steams them. He doesn't boil them, which means they don't have the salt content, which is always a good thing. The salt water Dad always said if you're going to cook prawns or crab or anything, should be in the same salinity as what the water they're caught in. So that's about 80 grams of salt to the litre. All right, so that's a lot of fucking salt, right? Yeah. But that's what salt water is, you know?
Yeah. Maybe it was just cheap and he was like, just hock the water out of the ocean.
Yeah, well, no, but then we used to, before we cooked on the boats, we'd cook it at the factory, and he kept that. He always did it at the factory first, so they'd bring them in, they'd cook them. But then we got smarter and we put cookers on the boats, and we'd just cook them directly on the boat.
That's sick.
Yeah. Dad was a pioneer. He's not around anymore, but he was a real pioneer in the fishing industry. Never really got the accolade that he deserved. Like he was the first one one of the first ones to freeze fresh fish rather than, because they used to always freeze old fish because they needed to save it for longer. Whereas Dad was like, nah, fuck, let's freeze it fresh, and that way when we defrost it, it's fresh.
Be fresh longer, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Dad was a pioneer like that and taught us three boys everything we know and made a real big competition out of it with us, and Mum still does sometimes, but we all understand seafood, you know, and
definitely, man, it sounds
and love it, you know.
Amazing. So what was he like as a chef then? Because he's a nice bloke, but what was he like in the kitchen?
I've always loved him, you know, in a manly type of way, man love, you know, not a gay.
Did you ever
love.
tap his butt?
Yeah, a couple of times, probably. I'm sure. Yeah, you know, not that he interests me. All that beard and shit's not for me, you know.
Hey, did he have the beard back then too?
No, he was a clean-cut boy. And half the fucking weight that's on him now. You know, gotta cut those burgers down, bro. I'm telling you.
Don't put that on camera, bro. Come on. Don't call your man out. I love him, but he's fat.
Yeah. No, that's right. I just, like I said to you, I'm glad he's trying all that food and not me, because
if I was to guess, he would always have been like,
Placid.
We've talked to a few people now. Yeah.
Placid.
Chill. Never going down. Like, even if he's going down, probably not going down.
No.
Just like cruising. Did you ever see him get super upset with someone?
No, I think Lachie just was a chill. He was always a dude, you know, like, so the whole Perth dude thing really suits exactly who he is.
Yeah.
He was always a dude, and always lovely to work around.
You never saw him go down hard and sweat? And
People wouldn't let him. Wouldn't let him.
I internalise stuff too. So I just go, if I'm angry with someone, unless you're running a pass or something, or you have to be vocal.
He's a lot of work. Like, mentally, he's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt about that.
Definitely.
Like, I'm a bit more, as much as I might be highly strung, I'm not highly strung.
You fucking know what Pete's thinking.
Yeah.
Always.
Totally.
Yeah. You know, but he's...
Which is no slight, it's just
but you need that different... You need those different personalities in the kitchen to make a great team. You know what I mean? Like, we all can't be the same. We want that difference to be able to create a beautiful team, you know. Yeah. And you become a semi-family, you know what I mean? Like it's very much, that's what it is. That's what I struggle with having 4 big places, right? You know, was I made 4 new families, and then when one of them would go, I'd be heartbroken. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And you know, they had to go because we're getting paid right or something wasn't right, and they just went, and I was forever trying to chase my tail with that. Back in the day when we worked together, it was a team, and we banded together for each other, and we did what we needed to do, no matter what the cost was on our bodies and lives. It was always about the team. Yeah. And Lachie he was a little bit more centred for that, you know what I mean, and knew what he wanted a bit more, which is a great attribute to have.
Would you put him on the grill? Is he a grill guy?
He can do anything.
I know. I don't want to think about that section today. So Lachie's going on there, and I don't
even remember what I started there.
Yeah, he was always universal, like me. Like, he could do a bit of everything. So, but
that's true. Actually, you just throw me.
All my mates say they call me fine dining and occasional deep frying.
I always like that too. Mel would say that all the time.
It was Big Mel that would say that. He still says it to this day, and I use it now because I'm like, fuck, that's what I am. I'm fish and chips, and with a bit of flair, you know. And I'm not like a Hadley Troy fine dining or a Steve Clark fine dining, because those boys are next level, you know. But I've done the fine dining. I started there and I moved away from that. The second year we were at Loosebox, we won best restaurant in the country for Gourmet Traveller.
Wow!
So that was a huge accolade. I was on the grill. With would you believe it? And another great chef who I never thought was going to be a great chef, Paul Bentley, who's got Casa. Yeah. So now Paul was always under me, right? Apprentice, right? Yeah. And he went away to Mexico and stuff, and Paul's always just been a shit talker, like as in, yeah, man, and all this carry on. Yeah. But he used to pick me up because I was younger than him. He used to pick me up and drive me to work. We were good mates, you know, but I had to scorn him a few times, you know, like back then, if you didn't scorn people at Loosebox, you're in trouble. So scorning. Now I'm sort of a bit humble to know him, because he's so good, you know.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's
good
so
in
good.
what way?
Just his technique and how he's evolved and his life and that. And
Did he pick up a style?
yeah, because he went to Mexico for a bit, and I think that I'm a little bit jealous of that now because I'm 46 and I haven't really been anywhere else besides Perth. And yeah, I've helped build this amazing industry. I've been a small part of helping build this amazing industry that we have here now.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to Mexico, and I mean I've been through Europe and America and that, but just trips, never lived. And I suppose it makes me a little bit jealous, you know what I mean? Like that I hadn't done that. Like I didn't just move away and go to Mexico for 5 years and learn. And he done some amazing shit over there, like from what I'd see. He does amazing, and his food looks great. I know, like when I look at it on Insta and that, I love Insta. Because Insta's all positive. You know what I mean? It's like there's everything. There's nothing negative on Insta, right? It's all literally. You flick through it and it makes you feel good. You know what I mean? And we need that shit in the world these days. You need it. And the food, like some of the ideas. And I saw a guy make a pizza the other day that he cut it into a star, but he did that because he wanted to put burrata in between each piece of the star. So then when you eat it out, it oozed out. And I was like, oh, fuck.
But then when it's cooked, you can just sort of pull it.
Yeah, it's so good because you don't have to worry about it going everywhere. It's amazing. Like, and some of the shit, like just that you see on it and you go, fuck, I wish. I remember going to New York for a holiday, and it was when the cronut was created. And we rocked up into this, me and my partner Lewis, we rocked up to this part of New York. We stayed at this great hotel. And we walked on the way there, on the way to the hotel, I saw this line. And I was like, and we were there for 2 weeks. We spent 2 weeks in New York. It was amazing. And every day I walked past this line. I never thought to ask what it was. Anyway, the last couple of days, I was like, what are you lining up for? It's like this cronut. And I heard about this cross between a croissant and a donut that they were doing. And there was lines every day doing that. And that shows you, like that shit now, you have to be there to see it. Now we don't have to. We just got to watch it on Insta or on that. And it's amazing. Like the ideas flow even more and quicker. I saw the other day croissants, little baby croissants, which they make this one French patisserie in New York makes 2 cartons a day, just 2 packets a day of these mini croissants that are like cereal. So they're just baby croissants that you pour your milk over and you eat like cereal.
No way.
You get $50 a carton, like $50 American. Wow. That's $100 for a packet, a 500 gram packet. They only do 2 packets a day.
That'll be your.
How good would that be?
That'll be your roll.
Imagine
No
they put your milk on that and just that's first spoonful like that there.
Dude, you'll die.
Yeah, you'd die.
That's it.
Well, you'd die, but it's okay, I've already done it. So that's right.
Do you want to tell us about that, man? Like,
yeah, I think it's important. I think
we've mentioned it a couple of times.
August last year, I'd been to the cardiologist a couple of times probably my lifestyle and everything was starting to catch up a little bit, and I'd had out of rhythm heart arrhythmia. It's quite common, and it was even more common after not that I'm blaming the COVID shots, because the COVID shots saved millions of people, right? Okay, but it also it was a rushed shot, really, when we think about how, and we had to though, I mean we had no choice, so there's going to be repercussions of it. And a few people had told me that they had this out of rhythm heart after COVID shots, and I never thought too much about it. I've always been really quite fast, and look at me now, you know what I mean? Anyway, I done my 3 cardiologist appointments, and I'd already been in hospital once, and they for arrhythmia they knock you out and they bring you back quickly, and they get your heart back into rhythm. But just depends on how out of rhythm how long it's been out of rhythm for. So when you say out of rhythm, it's one side's beating like this and the other one's beating like this, or this one's beating like this and this one's beating like this, which is probably the worst way to be going, right? Because what happens is that this side's not keeping the liquid going through you, and so what happened was my lungs filled up with obviously liquid and blood, and I got pneumonia, and I ended up 20 days in a coma. And died 3 times on the table. Whoa. It was full on. Whoa. My mum was really scared. They started cleaning my house out to sell the house, you know. Before I was even gone, I was like,
really?
Mum, you know, like, she goes, we had to do something. Like, we just had to, we needed something to
keep your hands busy,
keep our minds off it. Or my brother went.
And packing your house down was it?
Yeah. I'll just get ready for sale, you know.
So, do some gardening, Mum. Jesus Christ. Why don't you fix my house up for when I survive rather than kick me out?
Now she says you got a new kitchen out of it. And I'm like, thanks, Mum. But so then that happened, and then I was in ICU for 6 weeks. So 20 days of coma. They fixed my heart as soon as I come out of the coma. Like they put a wire up and sizzle your heart to get it back into rhythm, so the nerve endings are all right. So you can, and I'm there as the doctor's putting this thing. You can hear it sizzling because you're awake. You can hear it sizzling, but you're awake. I could almost smell it like real hard, you know. And I'm saying to the doctor, so I'm off a face. I'm off a face on Panadol, and I'm like, so do you like eating heart, doc? To the cardiologist, and he's looking at me like, are you crazy? You know, I was in a couple of weeks ago again, and same thing again, all the nurses like, you've got to eat heart. If you're heart people, you've got to try heart. Like I love beef heart, you know. The Indians used to gut that heart when those ox were bloody live, and they'd eat a chunk out of that heart because they reckon it would give you all the strength of an ox. You know, so I think it's important, that iron that you get out of it. Anyway, so 6 weeks, I got to know all. Thank you, all the nurses at Charlie Gardner Hospital. There you go. They got me through. The boy nurses especially, all right? All the straight boys. The girls were lovely too, but the boys just pushed me a bit harder to get out of there because I don't think they wanted to wash my willy anymore.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? No, because they were just...
like, dude, it's been so long. You're perfectly fine.
Just finish that off for a little bit more, you know? No, but...
the problem was it was erect when they were washing it.
No. And they're all young. Like, I mean, hats off to the nurses, right?
Yeah.
All young people that had to put up with this person in their hospital for 6 weeks, in ICU for 6 weeks. So I got to know them all really well, and so they saved my life. You know,
when you talk about the story of like dying and stuff, you don't know any of that, right? Like you've got no recollection.
I don't remember dying, but I remember the dreams I had while I was in coma.
Yeah, I think that's the craziest bit.
Yeah. I remember the dreams. Actually, this is something. Because you know they've all been talking about Indigenous foods for a long time, right? Okay, because I grew up in Onslow, I've got two nieces that are quarter caste Aboriginal, very close with the Aboriginal community up there, and my brother was the first white man in the Pilbara to be allowed to do a corroboree, to be a part, get face painted and stuff like that. So I'm almost black, right? Okay, and I'm not in that in a bloodline way. I'm in that in a family way, you know, we're married into it, you know, and you know, there's all this. Sorry, where I was going was my last story, which I didn't tell you, was the reason why I came back, I believe, because I was sitting on the corner of the river, I was drinking beer with a couple of.
This is in the dream.
A couple of Aboriginal elders, which is me, and they said to me, "Pete, we've got this outfit for you, but it's a warrior's outfit, but you can't wear it here. You need to go back home to be able to wear it." But I think, and I've been trying to work that out all this time, you know, like it's pretty full on. And
how real was that?
That's crazy. You remember it too.
The image. I don't know who was there. They were just voices.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was. They were just voices there. I remember the beer. I remember the outfit looked cool. You know, like I was like, I could look great.
Were you watching it? Were you looking at the whole scenario, or were you in it without your eyes?
Well, I was in it without my eyes.
Like through your eyes, you were watching the whole thing, and then you're hearing these voices.
I could hear the voices in the back. I couldn't see who it was.
Wow.
You know?
They're just like not yet.
There was a lot of people praying for me, or being like a lot of people. I was very, very blessed. You know, although I've done a lot of good too. You know what I mean? Like charities and looked after people and done the right thing. I've done a lot of bad too, you know, and that's always been my payoff for that. But so and I think this Warriors outfit's about just credibility within the space of food and this whole, a lot of money gets given out to Aboriginal businesses to make their lives better, and I don't know how much of that money goes to the right space. Right. And to the right people, and I think there's got to be more government looking at where that's going to make sure that it is going to the right spaces. And even in the food industry, like you know, if you're going to put a product out that says that it's got native bush foods in it, say salt bush, right? You know, you want to make sure that it's got enough saltbush in it to warrant them being able to say it's got saltbush in it. There's got to be some credibility.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not just an essence or a fake flavour that they're putting in it. Like lemon myrtle all of a sudden is in soap and fucking everything, right? It's in everything, right? Lemon myrtle, it's the lemon myrtle revolution, you know? Yeah. You know, like it's
totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you see it's in everything. We're not allowed to produce, we're not allowed to bring any lemon myrtle over from the East Coast because of biosecurity, right? And yet we've got lemon myrtle here, some, but not enough to do what we've been doing. It's in all the product. So how does that work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
How does that work? So, but there should be somewhere, and I think that's where my next path will be headed. It will be along that line of just being a conduit for some of the growers now for these native foods, going into the right area and being able to harvest. And I don't want to grow it and that, but I want to be able to help them get to that point and empower some of the Indigenous communities to be able to do that and help them get the money to be able to do that stuff. You know, I think that's
very cool.
That's important for me. I think it's like we can't eat. There's no kangaroo supplier in WA. It all comes from South Australia and Queensland because we don't have a kangaroo abattoir, and to put game through an abattoir, they don't let you put it through like a beef abattoir or a pork abattoir.
Or like mix it.
Because it's got lots of, it can have parasite in it.
Wild, yeah.
But the shooters know when they shoot it, they look at that kangaroo before they pick it up. They know whether it's got parasite in it because it's all scrawny. They'll just leave it there. You know what I mean? But the government doesn't give them enough credit for that.
Yeah.
And something could slip past, I suppose. And that was the old pig stories. Can't eat pig raw because it's got worms in it.
Yeah.
Well, fucking like...
You're going to take it past like 85.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing?
Like, you know, can't have it medium rare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Heaven forbid.
because it's done that. It's all wives' tale. It's like kangaroo.
Yeah.
You know? There's a guy in Albany who does kangaroo. I want to be able to help him come to market. You know what I mean? I don't want money for it. If we get paid along the way, it's a great thing. But I don't need. I'd rather be helping people for the sake of helping them, not.
So you reckon that's the mission now?
I think it is. Yeah,
Aboriginal
I think that's
food.
the
Bush
whole
tucker.
me dying has helped me get to. You know. So
Have you read the book Dark Emu?
my good friend showed me about it, and it's and again that just that in itself, when you think about, but people have got to want to do it too. This is our issue: is that but someone's got to instigate that. Someone's got to inspire them to want to do that. You know what I mean? Like to be growing that grain and stuff like that, the way they were doing it, they've got to be inspired, and it shouldn't be cheap. It's got to be expensive to start off with. Quandong's $2.40 a kilo dried. You know what I mean? Like there's a guy, David Thompson, down in amazing guy, does quick salt bush Quandongs and things. But again, his road to market's hard. You know what I mean? He's a white bloke. You know, and I'm not saying. It should be. We talk about racism, and we talk about white guys and black guys and all this sort of Chinese and Koreans. Like, at the end of the day, we're all the same inside, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And if we're all doing like Yoda has been a pioneer in getting bush foods. Like you can't, just because he's white, you can't be able to go. Aboriginal community's not having to go at Yoda. They love him.
Yeah.
Because he's brought that stuff up to the market. He showed me so much stuff, and so you go, like, you can't knock somebody for that because they're not Aboriginal. Like,
Yeah, totally. But then
what I mean?
also what you're talking about is sort of like more the money side, corporate side. You can't have corporations come in and take over the lemon myrtle production in Western Australia and not give any to the community.
We need to. I think New Zealand, they have a tax on native product.
Yeah.
So there's a tax, I'm pretty sure, and it looks like that's the way I've been looking at it, how to go around it. But it's that tax then goes back to community. How it goes back, it's hard to understand it all, really.
Yeah.
There's so much royalties for regions that go out there in the mining sector into the communities already. Sometimes that can get them a bit money hungry and they're not thinking straight. And even the housing, you know, like really housing, the way we've housed Aboriginals for all these years. They're nomad. They're not nomads. They're groups, but they don't need to be in a house. They just need communal cooking areas and they need open plan. But there's been no talk of that stuff. Like we're still trying to put this referendum over this sort of stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I voted yes, you know, but as much as that's discussing some people, but at the same time, we need to be collectively thinking and talking about exactly what they were talking about what we're spending our money on, because we're a hugely rich country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're processing people offshore to come into this country, which is costing us billions and billions and billions of dollars a year to companies we don't even know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That money just goes out there, and those people living in squalor. You know what I mean? So imagine what's going on up north with Aboriginals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's not good. Anyway, that's my next thing. So
That's fantastic.
That's after
Pretty
dying.
cool.
I think
After dying, yeah.
After just having a bit of clarity with my life, and then friends of mine, and looking at the whole sector and that, and but so I come out on the other side 6 weeks later. I broke out of ICU one day. So, because I had enough. I've been in there 6 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know how long you lasted
I hadn't
that long.
seen the outside for 6 weeks. Like it was It was murdering me. I rang Kalis one day and I said, you need to send me 1 cooked crayfish, a dozen oysters, and a kilo of cooked prawns, right? And I sat in ICU eating that shit.
And they knew ya?
They knew. Kalis sent it straight away.
Yeah.
I got the Uber.
Fucking Pete's ordered to the hospital again, fellas.
Yeah.
We don't
the boys
keep him there.
The nurse went down and get it. And then I thought about the biosecurity issue that I had with all those people in the hospital with all that seafood and stuff, doing all that. And then the nurse
Did they send you the good stuff?
Yeah, it was good.
It was good?
They looked after me. Yeah,
nice.
they looked after me.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I know, but I was that starving for just a feed of cooked prawns or a dozen oysters. I just, and I had an ice up at the top thing. I couldn't eat it all at one day, but I couldn't put it in anyone's fridge. So next morning I was like, crayfish for breakfast.
It'd also be your body just crying out for whatever's in that.
Oh.
Like you haven't had it.
Haven't had it.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love hospital food. Like as much as has that gravy on it we're talking about,
Yeah.
It's a good excuse to eat whatever.
Yeah, and you're just eating all that shit. And but in the end I was like, I'd had enough. 6 weeks of it.
I can't imagine you being cooped up for fucking a day, let alone 6 weeks.
6 weeks, man.
Dude,
6 weeks.
I don't want to see Pete after 6
after
weeks.
coming out of a coma, right, boys? This one, right, 20 days. I couldn't walk. I couldn't eat. I couldn't put the tablets in my mouth to have a drink. You lose only in 20 days.
Yeah.
I lost all bodily function. I had to be taught everything again. I had to fight with the nurse because they wouldn't let me go to the toilet by myself. You know what I mean? Because the second time I went, I did fall over and hit my head on the Kimberly Clark toilet roll holder. And broke it, and that was a risk. After that, I had all the pads around me. So as soon as I moved, she was beep 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 beep. So they were onto me. But at least when I went back the other week to the hospital and I saw that Kimberly Clark, they had a brand new one there. So I improved the hospital facilities.
That's cracking.
Yeah, they also have new rules about seafood in the ICU.
Imagine that. So 3 times.
I'm taking my feed a kangaroo next week anyway.
Yeah. Just when they're laying down the rules, they're like, this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and you can't bring in oysters. And that's
I know. Well, they just now it's part of the thing, but they looked after me.
Of course.
Well, one nurse.
It's called the Pete rule.
How's this one, boys?
It's the Manifis rule.
There was one nurse, one older lady, right?
The Manifest.
A matron, okay, a matron. Yeah. And I didn't know, like when you're in hospital for a bit longer, for all those out there, there's actually scrubs in there. You actually can get like proper little tidy whities that are throwaway and proper pants. You don't have to wear the robe, right? But nobody told me any of this. So for the first 3 or 4 weeks or 3 weeks I was in there, I was walking around bare assed and the robe, so you never can get that bottom one up anyway. So you'd saw this like that. So I was like all those old people walking around in there. So I'm a young guy, I don't want everyone seeing my bits. I mean, I'm happy to go somewhere so they can see my bits, but not the hospital. Anyway, the nurse would be keep fixing up my back bit, And I said to her, listen, she's done it once, and I was like, look, I'm just going to let you know, if you're going to do that, just let me know you're going to be touching my butt to fix up the what's the name, right? Please, that's all I'm asking you to do. Well, she didn't, all right? Okay, she didn't. That was the day I come out from my heart thing, and I had a lot of drugs in me, and I went schizo for the night. Like and the poor boy's in there with the tablet saying it's a benzo, and he's saying just take this, you'll be fine. And I'm going, no, I don't want to take any more drugs because it's going to send me crazy or anything like that. Yeah. And I took it, of course. I ended up on the floor at 4 a.m. like in my own. Yeah, it wasn't great, right?
Whoa.
It really mucked me up but I got that lady in a lot of trouble because I was like, if that was one of the boy nurses doing that to one of the girls, they would have been instantly out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we talk about sexism and racism and all that stuff. Like that's not cool. You know what I mean? Like, and I just said to her, it's important even.
You reckon she did something inappropriate?
No, I don't. She was only doing a job, but it still affected my mindset because I'd already asked her to just give me the heads up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Some acknowledgement.
It was
rather
all.
than
That's
doing
all it was.
wrong.
I'm happy for anyone to touch my ass. You know what I mean? Like, trust me, this day and age, anyone can do what they want. But
I reckon 6 weeks in that hospital, I would just be just walking around.
Yeah.
Would you?
Like
you're full naked?
Well, you don't have to. Like, I don't have to get a robe. I don't care anymore. I reckon after 5 days I'll be like, whatever.
I don't know what I'd do on a benzo. Hey, they sound fucking hectic.
Yeah, they're pretty. I fell asleep on one of the toilet talking to my niece once. So that was interesting. I had the Eagles jacket and I was too tight for me. And we're talking and she was like, are you all right, uncle? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
It's just a benzo.
Yeah, it was a benzo.
They sound hectic, hey, benzo.
Yeah. They put you out. It's not a good look. Everything in moderation's all right, I think, but that sent me a bit out there.
Super interesting to have, some revelations in your dreams while you're in a coma, and then to come out and the back end of it is like the experience of being in a hospital for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got like this like life-changing mental experience, and then the physical back end is like just like
you have an epiphany and you can't. Oh, I can't,
you can't do anything about it. You know,
now, boys, like
I know what I need to do, but I can't even chew.
Even living like I've been living off Centrelink for the last, because I ran out of money ages ago. You know, luckily my mum's, they're quite wealthy after the fishing business, and there's a lot of stuff being paid off for us boys and stuff that they worked hard to be able to look after us with. You know, so my mum's been there to help big time. But I haven't been able to earn any money because I've still on a doctor's certificate, right? So even to this day. So I'm on $300 Centrelink a week. $300 fucking...
so rough.
That's my beer at the moment, you know what I mean? No, that's my food, you know? A couple of beers through the week or like that, and it's gone, you know? No money to pay bills or anything. And so even to be able to credit, I was drawing up the day after coming out of the coma, I was drawing pictures of my van. I was going to redeck the van out, travel up north and do all this and that, and I was the man with the van to plan, you know what I mean? And I did. I got to Gerald and my feet swelled up. I had to come back home again. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because I was worried I didn't want to be too far away from the hospital in case something happened. But I had all these dreams and aspirations that I had to slow down now. And someone said to me just the other day, you used to be so driven and had a backbone and all this. You're just so chilled and relaxed now. I've got to be. I got to chill and relax. So I can't do that now. And this is, you know, I'm going to die. You know what I mean? I've got to be more aware of my body. You know, like I said, 2 weeks ago I was back in hospital for 5 days, but I felt my heart this time being out of rhythm. I'd never felt it in all that time, but now because I'm so more in tune with myself, when I felt out of rhythm, I got to Charlie's sitting at 210, and they were just worried. They kept me in for 5 days, done all these tests and shit, and it turns out I'm okay. You know, I just got to manage my life. You know, can't be too overboard with anything.
It's a weird commonality in chefs, hey? We all, I don't know if it's like just like you're that kind of person, so you go into chefing because there's not much else for you to do, but we have this commonality of like pushing ourselves real hard and kind of like putting a lot to the side and just like chasing, you know, experiences of like, if unfortunately for me as well, drugs and alcohol and experiences and like pushing hard in kitchens and everything else.
Because we chatted about this a bit. And where's the, like, what came first, the chicken or the eggs in this scenario? Like, were you always going to be that bloke?
If you've got a family. Imagine, because if you've got a family, you've got a little reason instead of your wife having a go at you. Because I know even people like Kenny, you know, struggle with certain things, and his wife was there to pull him out and his kids, and that's a bonus. So being a gay guy and not having that stuff, I don't think we're not disadvantaged at all. Like, trust me, but because we're very selfish, you know what I mean? Like we don't have a wife and a family as well. That's the selfish side of it, and that's changing. But back in my day, never thought that we could get married and all that carried on. And so there was always a bit more free and easy. And
it's like, it's just targeting where your drive is though. Like if I have, like when my daughter came around, that was it. She's just, I don't give a fuck about
She's
it.
the star of life.
I mean, still work hard, but that was it.
But there are people that like had kids come along too early and that wasn't, they didn't change just yet. They didn't flip.
There's young up and coming stars now in the industry, got kids young and still making up a little bit, and I don't know, I think now just talking about the story, being a bit more open about what's been going on and seeing, like I hang out with Scott Brannigan quite a lot, right, from Breton Common or from Coogee and Common. We're good mates, and I hang out with his wife and his kids, and I love the family life, and we got a good bond, you know. And seeing him going to the gym every second day inspires me. I still haven't got the gym, but you know, at the same time, I want to be healthier. You know what I mean? And I imagine all these chefs underneath him, I see them all wanting to go to the gym with him or go together, and so you can create new vices.
That's cool.
You know what I mean?
That's powerful too.
You can. I think that's important in your crew. If you're inspiring that, if you're doing gear and doing this and smoke a pot and drinking too much, you're only going to promote doing that within your kitchen. So if you can keep your head out of that and be going to the gym and going swimming and eating, having parties where you're eating healthy and doing the right thing, then that should be promoted into your kitchens, and I think that's important, you know. So
the drugs and alcohol, I reckon for me, was more about just trying to have good experiences.
A life.
I wasn't trying to like escape anything, like a bad childhood or anything like that. Like the heavy drinking and all those things. Yeah, it's being a part of a crew, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
So that's how you bonded. But I feel like I was just trying to get more experiences, right? Like
because you worked all the time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And I guess it's a part of it. But
even if you're tired on your 5th day, you're still going to go out at the 1 a.m. to whatever the spot is.
Yeah.
And drink, because like when else are you going to do it?
Yeah,
you got to let go. Unfortunately, that's...
Lachie was at Connie's with his shirt off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah?
no, I never saw that.
Oh, really?
But I mean, this did happen. I mean, he just didn't see me.
Yeah, that's right. You know,
He heard about it?
Fucking night, you know. So,
What was he doing?
yeah.
Like, you should have seen me.
Well, that was back when
all of that. All of
back
that.
when the toilets weren't just a toilet, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I actually
That
quite
was the
like,
office.
quite
That was
like
the office.
connections, eh?
Oh, yeah?
Just fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Been a
Let's
while
get
now
loose.
for me. You know what's good in Perth? Fringe just finished, right?
Yeah.
Like I live in Northbridge, and to see the people out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every night of the week, and be excited to be out all dressed up and stuff. And like I walk my dogs through Northbridge at 6:30, 7 o'clock over the last 3 weeks. It's been amazing. Like real. Feels like you're in Barcelona. You could be anywhere in the world.
It's been a really good fringe, actually. The people have been out heaps, man.
So, you know,
Heaps,
and I
heaps.
think that's seeing that sort of stuff and understanding that and making sure Perth keeps up with all that stuff is important too, you know?
Yeah.
Those sort of events and that. And because we have lots of stuff. Summer's good, and then we all hibernate for 3-4 months, you know?
10 months of the year.
Yeah. 10 months.
Look, we've got
22
to
degrees.
change the cameras. Do you want to do a bonus round and hang around for a bit, or you reckon you'd
I don't know, up to you. I mean, I'm happy, but
Another
I can...
beer?
I mean, we've got a...
another beer,
you want?
toilet break?
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's one more, but not so hopsy and new age.
All right.
You're an old school guy.
Yeah, I know. I'm
There's a slushy machine up there.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
slushy's good.
Right.
If I could have a slushy in my own house, I would have a slushy.
I know.
I love the NutriBullet, right? I get the NutriBullet. I put 4 or 5 cubes of ice in it, big blocks, 5 scoops of Milo, big scoops of Milo, top it up with milk, and then whiz it. It's like Milo milkshake. It's the best.
I thought you were going to make a cocktail for a
Yeah,
second,
well,
but
you
you're
could
just
do
like,
it.
Kahlua in that would
you're
be
making
great.
a chocolate
Yeah.
milk.
Yeah, that'd be even better. And you know what the other one is? I don't know if they're still making it, but Brown's come out with. I love what Brown's have done. Right, if you look at the Brown's product on the shelves, they've gone into environmentally friendly packaging. All right, okay. So that all the I only buy 1 litre milks now. I don't buy the plastic bottles. I mean, look, trust me, I buy plenty of plastic other stuff, but and bags and shit like that. But for some reason, I feel like I'm doing the right thing by the planet by buying this 1 litre milk because it's fully recyclable. But they brought out this chocolate milk. I don't know if you tasted it, which was literally just cocoa and milk. Right, so it was chocolate milk without any sugar in it. Right, and it was fucking stunning.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, stunning.
Brown's?
Yeah, Brown's. Just here, local little company or big company. And they come out with a vanilla one and just the chocolate one. I don't think it went as well as what they thought it was going to, but it was good.
They had one dedicated customer,
But
that's
me,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I was even at the Perth at the Crown. Helped my mate do some promotions for his business, Indigenous business, and Brown's was the stall for the Buy West Eat Best thing. Brown's was the stall right behind, right? Okay, and I was like, boys, I need to be doing your I've got to be your pin-up boy for Brown's, you know. Imagine that with cow suit on or something like that. It'd be great, you know. I'd love to do that. So,
You're facing the cow suit.
yeah.
Dude, that's an epic story, man. Like,
Thank you.
we'll take a break
Thanks
and
for having
come
me. I
back
really
and
appreciate it. It was amazing.
you can be a part of a bonus round. We have those famous questions, the
Okay,
hangover,
all right.
the
As
stealing.
long as I get that fucking slushy, I'm all right.
As long as someone gets their shoes back, bro.
Yeah,
You never get whatever that water is up there,
Yeah,
Brown water.
I think that's iced tea.
I think so.
Oh, it looks like something else.
I'll just go put a bit of ice cubes in it, you'll be all right.